Artificial intelligence. The salespeople are always calling my office, telling me how AI is going to make my life easier and faster and just do all these amazing things. And I got to thinking, Laney, if the Kohberger defense team had AI, would it help them?
A lot of people talk about what AI can and can't do. Let's take a look at some of that stuff. Is AI really coming to revolutionize the world and workplace? I'm Lainey Law.
And I'm attorney Andrew Myers.
There's been a lot of discussion that AI is going to steal all of our jobs and that everything's going to change. And a lot of people are skeptical, reasonably so, especially it's a new technology. We talk about the internet. Most people didn't have access to internet, 30 years ago. Technology, internets, phones, they're all brand new things to us. So when we talk about AI, it can be a little bit scary and a little bit like, "Oh, it's gonna be nothing," because, you know, we got our cell phones and we're still surviving as a society. So today we're gonna be talking about 8 ways AI could help the Idaho 4 case. We have 8 today, a whopping 8. Now, Andrew, do you have any experience yourself with AI?
Yeah, let's not go there. Yeah, I'll tell you, but here's what generated this idea. I'm reading all this stuff about how AI is going to save the world. And, they call my office and they say, do this and do that. And AI is going to make your practice easier. And one of the things that they say is, oh, it'll help you go through your discovery. And I'm saying, well, now, wait a minute. Ann Taylor is saying to the world that one of the problems that she has is that she has 51 terabytes of discovery and it's not indexed. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if Ann Taylor had a good artificial intelligence program, would that help her go through the 51 terabytes? That's my question.
And my thought to that is yes, but I can't see a universe that's happening at least for another 5 years, but they always say we overestimate what we're gonna accomplish in 5 years and underestimate what we're gonna do in 20. So, I think there's a whole world that we have yet to experience, just like when cell phones came out, but is it gonna change everything? Maybe, maybe not. One of the conversations happening at my school right now is AI allowed in the classroom? In certain classes, like English class, no
Mm.
AI, you can't generate your essays, you can't do that. But a
All
lot
right.
more classes are being more lenient. Even actually, ironically, with my English class, you're not really supposed to use AI to generate essays, but we are able to use source uh I forget like just machines that will do your sources in proper formatting, which is interesting because to a degree that has some AI elements to it when you're inputting a bunch of text and it's spitting something back out, that's still an algorithm. Now,
Yeah.
so consider one of the most time-consuming tasks in litigation: extracting structure, meaning, and salient information from an enormous set of documents produced during discovery. AI will vastly accelerate this process, doing work in seconds that without AI might take weeks. Breaking how AI will revolutionize the practice of law.
I saw this article. I'm reading this article and I'm saying to myself, okay, discovery can be a pain in the neck. I mean, you send out your requests for interrogatories, you send out your requests for interrogatory answers, I should say, and you send out requests for production of documents, and then you get it all out. And in the jurisdictions in which I practice, the rules say that it's got to be organized in some sense, in some fashion. In other words, it's true that you can produce documents in the manner in which they're kept regularly in the regular course of business, but they've got to be organized in some way. In other words, if we're on the opposite sides of a case, I can't just send you a truckload of thumb drives and say, haha, go through it. No, but in my jurisdictions, there are rules about organization. I went through Idaho's rules. I didn't see those. I didn't see those. I didn't see that there's any requirement that in the criminal rules of procedure in Idaho they have to do that. So, Laney, I mean, if I have 51 megabytes of stuff on my desk, could AI help me with all that?
So you say megabytes, and that's a great example of the difference
Oh,
in size that we're talking about. Yeah, we've had this conversation separately. It's so
yeah.
funny. But so a megabyte, it's funny because megabytes are something that, 20 years ago, our computers had megabytes. And then now we're looking at gigabytes. My computer, the entirety of my computer, like my main hard drive, I have a solid state drive and a hard drive. My solid state drive is 500 gigabytes.
Wow.
When we make a video, an hour and a half of our video is usually around 6 gigabytes.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
think about how many 6 gigabytes you can fit in 500. Double that, 1 terabyte.
Wow.
I don't know how
Wow.
you're gonna pay me to go through 1 terabyte of information, anyone ever. It's if I'm a defense attorney, you give
Yeah.
me 1 terabyte of video, you're sitting there for hours. Most of this information we're gonna assume is not relevant. Sometimes, you can skip through videos and see and
Right.
even looking at fast forward, even double speed. Double speed, if you
Right.
have an hour and a half long video, that's still 45 minutes. It's a ridiculous amount
Yeah.
of time. So
Yeah.
we talked about in the past, Andrew and I, just in casual conversation, how long a PowerPoint even takes to make. It's like you think it's just a few
Yeah.
words on a screen, it's not gonna be that bad. I mean, think about writing a 10-page essay, that things like that can take you hours. So the idea is that with AI will be able to quickly scan through that because AI isn't it's it has to take some time to understand what's happening, but you've seen it, people who use ChatGPT, you type in a sentence and AI will give you back a novel with very detailed information now. It's not always accurate and it doesn't always do a good job. And part of why I think it's going to be a while until we're able to see AI used in the justice system is to create AI, you have to train it to do one specific task over and over again, and then you have to have another AI who tests the first AI to make sure that it's doing a good job.
Oh, good
Yeah.
grief. So the AIs are watching each other? Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you need a
Oh,
babysitter AI to get a good AI.
yeah.
So, uh because the AI you can give you 10 answers and it's going to take a human to go longer to go over those 10 answers, but if you have another AI going back saying good or right, it can go through thousands of iterations way faster than humans go. So that's how it kind of trains itself. So that's why sometimes with AI you get a little bit of gibberish, is because one AI is trying its best and maybe the second AI didn't catch that mistake like a human would have caught it.
Well, here's the context in which most of these sales calls come into my office, to the extent I ever even pick up the phone, because if you're a telemarketer, we don't pick up the phone. If we have to, boom. But anyhow, what they tell us is that AI will write our briefs, our legal briefs. It will write our client correspondence. It will write anything you want. So the thing that scares me is most courts now have page limits, like a memoranda in support of some motion might only be 20 pages or 25 pages. You are not allowed to go over that limit. And if you want to go over that limit, you have to ask the court for permission to go over that limit. But AI, as you just pointed out, can go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So now I have two problems with that. One, when I write a legal memorandum, I've got to cite to cases and I've got to check all those cases to make sure they say what they really say, because attorneys have been caught actually just pumping in a bunch of citations and they don't stand for what they say. So now I pay good money for one of these AI frauds, I mean programs, and they write this big lengthy memorandum. I've got to spend all that time, kind of like you were just saying, the AI watching each other. I've got to spend all that time reading that memorandum and checking all the sites, because under Rule 11, and different courts call it something else, I have a duty of good faith anytime I submit something to the court that I have read it. It's true. And if I make it an argument that takes it a little bit further than what the law says, which all lawyers do, um, I've done that in good faith. So now somebody buys AI and the AI just writes this, kabillion page memo. No, I've got to go through all that, or any ethical attorney has got to. So no, no, no. What else you got, lady?
So you actually kind of perfectly went into our first point. So the whole point of our slide today is we're going to see, can AI help? Let's see what it thinks. So these are all answers generated by AI. We're going to see how AI thinks that it'll be able to help court cases. So you actually perfectly said how these people are trying to market you AI to do your documents. ChatGPT definitely thinks that it has some possibility to be able to help. And a big part of that, the first one that it thought to specify was document analysis and review.
Mm-hmm.
So it says natural language processing algorithms. Like one of so when we think of things like ChatGPT, one of the benefits that AI could have when writing these documents, like you said, AI can just like say random stuff. You can't just have ChatGPT write your legal analysis. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But because, right? I don't know if there's a really centralized system where you can see every court case, but one of the benefits of AI is that it's able to kind of sift through all these documents and learn from all of these documents. So I agree with you where I don't really know if AI is at the point right now that it can effectively cite, certain court cases when you're writing your 25-page documents, and that anybody using anything like this needs to go in and, if you're anything like me, take your highlighters and highlight every single thing and go through 1, 2 times a 25-page paper. Right now, I feel like I am not an attorney, so I can't speak, but I think a lot of people would have just rather write the paper themselves off of information
Mm-hmm.
they know is true, instead of needing to spend however long it's gonna take to make sure that
Yeah,
the computer is gonna be
exactly.
saying everything right.
Yeah. If I have to go
Uh
back and check through 25 pages, why don't I just write it myself? I mean, I've been writing stuff for years, and it's just as easy for me to do it as to sit there and check every single sentence, every single citation. I think, it seems like a waste of time and a scam to me, but keep going.
No, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that I'm similar minded. Something that a use that I use AI for, which I don't do contracts, I don't do case law. And I think at least with contracts, I'm curious to see what AI would spit out. I think if it's something that had a very large sample size, which I'm sure a lot of this stuff does, that it could put out something close. But like you said, you can write it yourself and know that it's right, or you can either pick your poison and now it's all there, but now you have to go through however many documents. So maybe 5 years from now, there'll be a more standardized way. I'm sure that there's a lot of this stuff we already use, like templates and things like that. So things that you would already be using like a template for, I think AI, even right now, could probably be very helpful for that. But when it said this, I was a little shocked. I was a little surprised. I'm like, wow, you're coming out the gate really confident right here. You're like, you're gonna write the legal documents? Oh. So very confident
That's what
on.
they say. That's what they say, that AI is going to write our documents for us, and that's fine. What if I send a letter to a client that was written by AI, and it says, "Dear client, we don't like you."
And that's the thing too, where for me personally, not that like, we proofread before it says, "Hey client, you suck, your case is horrible, you're not gonna win."
I almost spit out my coffee.
But even like for me, and maybe my feelings on this will change one day, but when I read something, I do not retain it as well as writing it myself. I like writing things on
Right.
paper, and then go typing things on a computer is detaching myself one step away from that, and then needing to read something and memorize it. I will do things in my life and can't remember things. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm gonna remember every. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but reading all these documents that AI is generating just adds a whole level of confusion in there. But this one I thought was crazy. Predictive analysis. AI, and maybe this is part of the barrier between being human and AI, is that ChatGPT's response is basically telling me, "Oh, I'm gonna look at all these past every case of this in history and give you the likelihood of what's gonna go right and what's gonna go wrong," which is kinda cute. I say cute, but it's like it's kinda beneficial in the sense where it could pop up. This is basically like a training tool. It's just like, "Okay, I have this case, I'm gonna feed it this information, it's gonna compare it to all these other cases." And the purpose of this is what's a likely outcome and how can you prepare for that? Which interesting. It's an interesting concept. I think that's something that might help people maybe getting into the field more. I what is your opinion on that? Do you think that like if you before every case you sat down and you uh say you were thinking about taking a case and you write down the information and it gives you like, oh, there's like a 70% chance that this will go right, or do you think that would impact what cases you take on?
No, because because after practice law for a period of time, and I'm not going to say it's perfect, but after you practice law for a period of time, you have a sense, you have an idea, you have what factors to weigh to analyze what's going on in this case or that case. Now, having said that, if you're talking about being prepped for trial, a jury is always a wild card. Juries can go one way or the other way. And we've seen cases that, people have thought were a sure thing that went south, and we've seen the others. So the answer to your question is no. And the other thing is that I mean, you get a base over the years of, and even just just coming out of law school, you have a base of 3 years of reading cases, so you have a good idea. Now I can see AI maybe helping us with what they used to call shepherdizing, or bringing the law up to date. Maybe I know about the law up to yesterday, but I don't know what the Supreme Courts of 50 states and the United States have done overnight. So maybe it could help with respect to that, but I don't know. I don't know if it
Mhm.
would really be able to do that in a way that would not require me to go back over and check it all.
Uh-huh. I guess how you say that, so that you mentioned 2 points, and you mentioned the jury, and let me get the before that, the natural language processing tool. So how you say that it could be used for prep in that sense. AI, that is actually interesting because you can train AI to kind of think and talk like people. So you can feed it in like the prompt and it can give you a lot of theoretical answers that you wouldn't have thought of people talking about. But at the same time, I don't really know anybody who's going to be sitting there like really
Yeah.
prepping that hardcore. Um, your second point, I'm sorry. Uh,
Just that you have a base of knowledge and
mm,
of law. I kind of sort of know what's happened, up until yesterday, but what's happened
mhm.
overnight, I don't know. So now maybe AI can help me figure out what's happened overnight. And this circles us back into the Kohberger case, with all this discovery. 51, and you corrected me, terabytes, 51 terabytes. Can it in any way go through 51 terabytes and at least index it and tell Ann Taylor or anybody, what's in there?
And that's one of the things, and that's I'll talk about a little bit on our next slide, but when that kind of
Okay.
coincides with how you said, if laws change and then how you're saying can AI index. I definitely think that AI is capable of doing both of those things. Some so you could theoretically as a person make a program that changes the names of files in a certain way. And
Mhm.
as far as laws changing, you could have an AI that's trained to go through, like maybe it has a database of every state and every federal law, and then you can uh type in what laws have changed, and then it can give you like a brief summary and then a link to the official page. So that's something that AI could do. Now, as far as indexing, I believe, yeah, evidence management. So this goes in directly to the crazy amount. The 51
Here
terabytes
we
is
go.
insane.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's this all about?
Yeah, so, this one is saying that, AI can, in fact, help organize the evidence, so maybe Ann Taylor needs to still go through everything, but you could theoretically, I don't really know if the software, exists right now currently to this capacity, I think to some degree it does. I think there's some video processing, but I think video and image processing tend to take a little bit longer. But this is basically saying that um AI would be able to go through all this information, theoretically say suspicious, potentially relevant, relevant, potentially relevant, not apparently relevant. And then in that, even like say why, like title the documents as to why they're relevant. This isn't something that I think that we currently have, and maybe I may be wrong. Maybe I should have asked AI if we could do this right now. But the AI could theoretically s- scan and sort, which would be really good. And the
Wouldn't that
sorting
be a
is huge.
huge help? Wouldn't that be a
Yeah.
really huge, huge, huge help if it could scan and sort? Or, I use the word index. And so then, maybe a skyscraper full of paralegals could then at least have a guide to get through it all and write a report to her and tell her. I mean, I don't know. I really don't
Mhm.
know. I think we're breaking new ground here, but do you think that that's a possibility?
So if I am going to school for computer science. I'm going to be a software engineer. I haven't worked with AI, but I think it's totally possible. I don't think a big part is it possible and will we receive government funding for anything like this? The latter is probably not going to happen. And if that doesn't happen, then this is probably it's all hypotheticals. But with AI, you like say we have a video that's an hour and a half, 10 hours long. It's a security camera that they had running for however long. AI would be able to scan that video, and
Mhm.
people, you can actually see this with your doorbells. A lot of people who have the Ring doorbells right now, you get the notification, person seen, this person was seen, vehicle seen.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
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 it
if AI can go through all these 51 terabytes of information, could it say, "Oh, Brian Kohberger was in that one," or "Brent Kopacka was in that one"? Would it be able to do that?
It could theoretically, if it, like, saw all these videos and, like, it had, persons, it might falsely identify someone because maybe you only see half their face. Even my doorbell will say, like, my friends are, like, someone who lives at the house, or one friend is another friend because you can save who it is. But AI would be able to not only
Mhm.
index, "Oh, there was a person seen. Oh, there was a vehicle seen." It could be on that, say, potential suspect scene, and organize things like that. Now, I don't, like I said before, this technology, if it exists, it's very niche and it's probably
Yeah,
very expensive right now,
yeah.
but we could see something like this being more accessible. A lot of people, and we see it, like we have like transcripts. So when you can set AI to generate a transcript for a video, and then it could potentially filter out words and let you know. So even if people are having certain conversations, like say you have like phone call records or a video where people are talking, you would be able to identify when they're saying, in the Idaho 4 case, theoretically something like Brian or Kaylee, um, and filter that out, which is a cool concept, but I think very far from the general public being able to do this at an affordable cost.
Well, but I mean, we're talking about the government. I mean, I don't know anything about Idaho, although I have learned a lot in the last couple of years. But governments spare no expense. We taxpayers have to really, work really hard to pay our taxes. But the government, they don't care. They spend tons and tons and tons of money on, a new box paper clips. So, I mean, I wouldn't think that cost would really be a barrier to them to bring in what they need to do so.
Mhm.
Plus, it's going to be good not only for this case, but the next case and the next case and the next case. I'm just thinking out loud.
I think, I might be misspeaking here, but when the internet came out, that initially it was primarily used for military
Yes,
use,
that's right.
and then one of the reasons that it was more publicized was because, it's easier for a company like AT&T to come and set up their things instead of trying to
Right.
figure out the government way to do it. So I would like to see the government take interest in this, but at the same time, with peace and love to anybody who's watching who's 80. We have a lot of people who grew up without the internet even. So I don't know how, if they would really see the benefit of doing it, but I also think that right now We have so many private companies that these people that are calling you and trying to sell you their bots that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
trying to spit out false information, or potentially harmful information or whatever it be. I think that now, because for example, I'm going to school for computer science, but there's so many people who are just in their basements who've never gone to secondary school,
Yeah,
like,
it's true, yeah.
yeah, who just spend so much time like thinking about these things and writing their algorithms, and maybe they're not employed and they have all the time in the world to dive super deep in this. So I don't know if the government's gonna get involved in this technology, but I could definitely see it still existing in 5 years. My question is if it's third-party technol well, I was gonna say if it's third-party technology, would it be accepted in court? But if it's something just like organizing your
Well,
evidence,
yeah.
they don't know how you're
Yeah,
organizing your
that's
evidence.
not what I'm driving at. I mean, the answer to the
Yeah.
first question you asked is, would it be allowed in court? Any piece of evidence at all, has a couple of requirements. One, that a foundation be laid for it, and then that it be authenticated. So if AI could actually be authenticated as accurately portraying what it portends to portray, then yes, I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed. But um, that's saying a lot. It really is.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely think that the most imminent use of it, especially with Ann Taylor, and Ann Taylor, if you're watching, keep this into consideration. I think the software is really expensive right now to be sorting stuff
But
like
again,
this,
it's the
but
government. There's that, the nation is now, as we do this podcast, and it may go up by the top, E4 state.
um, you got cut off. I can't hear you currently if you're talking. Cut.
I mean, uh-oh. What the
Okay, I
hell was
hear you.
that?
Uh,
Huh.
it's
I wonder what
catching up
that
right
was.
now. Did you have that
Yeah.
error on your side? Did I ever bleep out?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. We're back now?
So why don't I go back to saying that cost is absolutely no barrier to the government. I don't care what government is. They just don't care. They spend the money.
I hope that that's gonna be the case with this, because I think it would help a lot. And we're seeing more technology in the courtroom, so it could be that we go in that direction. I think it would be helpful. I think AI isn't necessarily gonna replace people, but I think it's gonna make a lot of work easier than it used to be.
Right.
Uh, Now this kind of goes back to how you were saying when it generates your documents that
Mhm.
uh, some attorneys have put in garbage information themselves. How can you make sure that the AI is putting in accurate information? I think the whole point with this, like how I was saying before, like with a database, that you could have a database if laws are updated, that it shows you that this is pretty much what that's saying. It's, you have an AI tool that maybe scans all the updates in the Idaho law, the updates in Massachusetts law, and you can type in how sometimes we have like customer service AI bots that are sometimes able to answer questions. It's I would The way that I interpret ChatGPT answering this question is maybe one day we'll have, you go on to law.gov. I don't know if that exists. Don't go to that website, please. I don't I can't verify
Right.
that. But you have like a AI bot that scans through every repository and gives you the information you want. This is definitely a
Yeah.
utopian future.
Yeah, well, but, let's just read. You spent all the time on the slide, so let's just read it. It says legal research, AI-powered legal research platforms can provide lawyers with access to vast repositories of legal knowledge and case law, allowing them to quickly find relevant precedents, statutes, and scholarly articles to support their arguments. Now, pre-AI, we already had this LexisNexis and a bunch of other programs, Fast Case, a bunch of other programs already do this for us, and it's really helpful. So I can already do that. But I guess what this is talking about is that AI is going to, quicken up the speed, because it can take you time to do the research, even with a LexisNexis type of a program. So I guess what you're saying is this will just, kick up the speed and maybe the reach of how far it goes in terms of bringing you all that stuff.
Ideally,
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of good potential for it. at the end of the day, it matters how it's executed. But like I said before, even if the government doesn't implement something like that, that theoretically there's some type of service that's going to figure this out. I mean, somebody's going to be watching our video right now and maybe they're working at a company and they're like, that's great, and they'll do it. So I agree with that, that the whole benefit would be speeding things up, maybe not necessarily having to do it all themselves, but speeding things up. This one freaked me out. So sentiment analysis, which is another discrepancy, which I don't know, because it's like a part of me is just like, does the AI really think that it can predict this, or is this something that humans would do better? But AI can be used to analyze the sentiment of individuals involved in a case, including jurors, witnesses, and even judges. By analyzing their statements, body language, and other cues, this information can help lawyers better understand the perspectives of those involved and tailor their arguments accordingly.
Wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me that if somebody is talking and I'm thinking, oh, that's bullshit, they're gonna know that I'm thinking that?
Potentially, they'll be able to, like, you could have AI cameras scan and see when you roll your eyes.
Oh my God.
The AI camera scans and identifies whoever's yawning and at what point they yawned. And I don't ever really think that this is going to be something that's practically used in the court. I think this is going to be like lie detector test. You can't really use I forget what the official word is, but um
Polygraphs are inadmissible in most, not all courts,
okay.
because they're not. It's a technology that was developed back in the 1800s. But unions use them, police departments use them, but polygraphs are inadmissible in most courts.
I think this would probably be something like that, where even right now, we've actually had this for probably a decade at this point, but
Yeah,
AI that can see people's expressions. I know there used to be like, you used to put in like a picture of yourself, and then it'd be like, oh, like with however much probability they're this gender, they have this expression, they're from this ethnicity. Um, so that stuff exists. How it's gonna
sure.
be, I don't know if sentiment analysis, I don't know if I agree with ChatGPT on this one, if this would ever be really helpful.
Now, here's a scary thought, just to play devil's advocate. In sentiment analysis, is someone out there in the AI, world going to say, we can take pictures of Kohberger and tell whether he's guilty or innocent? Dangerous, huh?
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because as humans, we kind of do that anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
how
we
many
do.
people, yeah, it's like we look at someone, it's just like, someone gets accused of a crime, like they're on trial, and this isn't, let me
Yeah.
put our little banner, where's our banner? Uh Everyone, in any case, all accused of crimes
Right.
are innocent until
But
proven
we
guilty.
we we as human beings do judge other people, and a first impression is really important. And if the guy comes over and he's all hunched over and he's skinny and has cigarette stains on his fingernails, we judge. We do judge.
Mhm.
Now, all those things I just said, those are negatives, but who knows? Maybe the person's perfectly innocent. So I'm just wondering if AI's sentiment analysis would be any better than human first impressions, which sometimes are conscious, but more dangerously, often our assessment of other people is subconscious. So I don't know.
You know, this is a really bad rabbit hole to go
Oh yeah,
down, but AI could theoretically determine someone's likelihood of being like a serial killer based on their DNA, I feel. Like something
well,
even because so like certain things that people are predispositioned or something, I don't know how it's gone into DNA analysis right now, but as far as looks, I can't imagine. But then I also think it's just like, well, AI is probably looking at people's DNAs and being like, oh, they have like this percentage of chance to be, have whatever disease based on, whatever they had already. It
so the
it's
question really is, what is this sentiment analysis based upon? Because there is a psychologist, a very good one out there, who's written a bunch of books, and he actually goes on a couple of podcast channels, and he has written the Columbia University profile for serial killers, and that's based on his years and years and years of observing and doing clinical studies and that kind of thing. So, when he says he can kind of tell what the characteristics are of a serial killer, he bases that on his history and experience, being a clinician. I'm just wondering, what does AI base it on? I mean, what are they looking at?
It could be even it says their statements, body language, and other cues. I imagine also, like, I mean, in this situation, it would be video evidence. I think about it and how you say, being able to identify. I think about even people, I don't know if anybody else watching has had this experience, but when you talk to someone and you kind of think that they might be a little bit of a sociopath because they're not
Mhm.
their behavior seems to be completely like reflective of your behavior, and that you know that kind of stuff. So I do think that there's some personality traits and some behavior that could be identified, but at the end of the day, when you're like that, I can't imagine there being a super science to that. I think there's some science to it. I think that you can, based on how someone is acting, like a lot of people like our channel, because you guys feel like we're sincere, um because we're sincere.
Very sincere.
But how people have kind of like a vibe check where it's just like this person's a little sketchy. I don't want to say that AI is at this point right now, but I think AI either is confident that it's at this point right now or is overestimating how much it would be. I think AI probably would listen to us and try to
Okay.
figure out yeah.
But I don't think we'll ever reach the. I don't think we'll ever reach the point where you use AI to replace the jury and tell. Okay, he's guilty. I can tell he's guilty. Okay, next.
No way,
No,
no,
second. No.
that
All right.
never. I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
we're probably gonna have juries forever. I
All right.
don't know.
Good. Good.
Risk assessment. Oh, oopsies. Algorithms can assess the likelihood of success in a particular case, as well as the potential risk and costs involved in pursuing different legal strategies. This can help lawyers and their clients make more informed decisions about whether to settle a case or proceed to trial. Cute, but help an idea, but at the same
Yeah.
time, with the clients, they're always going to want, with even if the AI tells them that they're not going to get how much money they want, they're still probably going to chase it, I imagine.
I'm skeptical. I appreciate all your work and thought that you put into this, but a lot of times attorneys, especially the larger firms, use focus groups and or they use panels. They'll bring in a panel of prospective jurors or types of people that could be jurors, or they'll bring in a focus group, which is similar, not exactly the same, and they'll bounce the case. They'll have a mock trial in front of these people, and then that's how, in a bigger case, that's how they determine, what the likelihood of success is in the case, and it helps them strategize, helps them figure which evidence is going to be helpful, which facts are not going to be helpful, and as you've pointed out here, what's the likelihood of success. So a lot of firms already use focus groups or panels, and whether they're going to trust AI to do that, I don't know. They might.
I think the focus groups and panels are probably gonna, I mean, I say probably still gonna be, I don't know where we're gonna be 100 years from now. If you're watching this 50 years from now, life is probably totally different for you guys. You probably have phones in your head.
Oh my God.
But they're already attached to us. We already have the AirPods,
It won't go. It won't fit.
we got Neuralink brain implants already happening. So who's to say what
Right.
will be in 100 years? But
Right.
I think that AI would probably be beneficial in addition to a panel. Maybe you do the panel, but then you also run it through AI to see what else. I think it is a little bit like possibility, but at the end of the day, it's just research. It's like you're not going to do any decisions based on that. Really, it'll give you ideas, which ideas are helpful, but yeah. Oh, jury selection. I'm curious to see what you think about this one. AI can assist in jury selection process by analyzing demographics data, social media profiles, and other relevant information to identify potential biases or predispositions among prospective jurors. How is it? Do you have to, when looking for jurors? I'm curious. I'm not sure how much. I don't know how you'll if you know about this, but how is it they pick jurors right now? Do they do surveys that you usually just randomly get selected, but then after that, you usually meet face to face with someone, right?
Well, no, they don't get randomly selected. The pool itself is randomly selected, but then they come into the court for voir dire, where questions are asked of them to eliminate those who are biased and to select those who, you hopefully feel are not only unbiased but might be helpful to you. And there are people that are called jury consultants that come in and they help you. They sit right there at the table with you and they read the juror information sheets. And so it's a human thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if there are attorneys out there that would trust AI with that. If there are, give me a buzz. Tell us in the comments, and we'll interview you. But
Mm.
there's just too much at stake in a trial. There's just too much at stake to trust, AI, which, as you've pointed out before, has made a lot of mistakes. The insurance companies are all big on, human beings cause accidents. Let's get AI to have self-driving cars, and those self-driving cars have gotten in accidents just like humans. So, with that bright, cheerful analogy, I might be wrong. If I am, let me know. I doubt if too many attorneys would really rely on a sketchy technology to help them pick a jury.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my only experience with jury selection is that a relative once told me they were selected for jury duty and they were annoyed because they went in trying to be as biased and just difficult to work with as possible, and they still got selected. So
That's not right. That's really just not right. They should not have been. They shouldn't have been selected.
they like intentionally went in trying to be difficult and try to be a bad candidate and still got through. Um, but
Okay.
um I don't know how I mean, how it's saying analyzing demographic data, social media profiles, and other relevant information is crazy. I think that maybe in addition to having a human do the work, it would be good to be able to because something that you can currently do with AI is say AI, like, look at this profile and tell me what you think of it. So maybe you have the person's information and then you say, okay, now scan their Facebook or scan their social media and tell me if there's anything. Because in like a case with like the Idaho 4, maybe they seem okay when being interviewed, but maybe you go into their social media and scan their likes and it turns out they've liked 105 different posts, feeling very strongly that the case is going one way. So I don't know.
Sure, and that would speed up the process, that's for sure, because to do all that, at the table, when you have limited time to do your voir dire, I can imagine that it might speed up the process. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know.
Mhm. I think it's similar to like for jury selection if you were looking at like job candidates, like you were looking to employ someone, you could have AI scan their stuff to see if they're like I mean, obviously with that's a little bit more broad, but it could
Right.
be a quick scan, a quick scan. It goes back to the you can't like how I don't even know how so much someone has to pay me for a terabyte of information. I don't know. Some of those jobs that are like a little bit more grueling and painstakingly time consuming, uh, AI can speed it up, but you always need to
Right.
check it.
Case
Case
management.
management. Yeah, did you wanna read this one?
Sure, case management. AI-powered case management systems can streamline the workflow of legal professionals by automating routine tasks such as scheduling, document filing, and communication with clients. Well, that's fine. I don't.
That's where it tells you that your client your case sucks.
Yeah, yeah. We don't really
Yeah.
say that too much, but yeah, okay. That's fine. That's fine. I
Yeah.
mean, we already have software. There's been software around for years that has kind of done this. I guess I don't see what
Mm.
AI would add to that. It might. I
Well,
don't
and I
know.
think that how you say that we already have software that does it, I think that a lot of software people don't actually realize, but it uses AI. So while it says case management, uh, I think something like this, we can look at more, like how you said, we have software that does it. That software, it
Yeah,
probably already uses the AI. So this is something that's probably relatively here. I mean, we talked about the documents, like general documents, could probably figure it out. You have a client, new client, and it emails that person, hey, Maria blank, hey blank, like, thanks for picking up the case with me, fill this stuff out.
maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But while AI can offer significant benefits in the legal field, it's important to recognize its limitations and ensure that human judgment and ethical considerations remain central to the legal decision making process. Additionally, the use of AI in legal context may raise important questions related to privacy, bias, and transparency that need to be carefully addressed. And that actually came from the AI itself. So I thought that was nice that it thought about that. It like gives its own disclaimer. It's not too confident.
Yeah, no, I mean, the legal profession is now in a quandary as to what to do with AI. It's just like when the internet first came out. Oh no, you can't go on the internet because ethical problems. And all. Well, everybody went on the internet anyhow, and finally, ethical rules were designed to guide us as to what we can and can't do out there. Uh, a lot of it was in line to what our ethical constraints were before. So I predict that the same thing will happen with AI. And yes, I know there are seminars out there, and they you could have taught a legal seminar because I've seen this type of material being presented to attorneys because you can get an AI program and it might be able to do all these wonderful case management things and telling whether people are telling the truth and telling whether it's a good case or something you ought to think twice about. But in the end, it's never going to change that the attorney has the responsibility for the case. If you sign a document, you are verifying that it's all true. So you better not rely on, and I'm talking to myself and everybody else, I guess, you better not rely on some AI program to write it and create it and produce it because, no, it's yours.
And I
So,
think that kind of goes with how I was saying my English class, they don't allow you to have your essays like written by
right.
AI, but that my school's policies overall for AI are becoming more lenient. You need certain skills. You need to learn how to do the stuff yourself. AI can help you do things quicker, but it's not gonna fully really teach you how to do everything. It can answer your questions in the moment, but there's just some pet you need to do things over and over again to get better at them. So maybe you
So
can, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry I cut you off.
I'll just say you could get better, but not good, you know?
You were absolutely correct earlier when you said that the military had internet type capabilities way before the rest of us. When intelligence and aviation and satellites were all kind of coming together way back in the 1950s and 60s. Yeah, the defense people did have a way to connect what was going on a satellite with what's going on out in Arizona, with what's going on in Langley, Virginia, with what's going on in the Pentagon, and they were able to put it all together. And the old U-2 plane and the old satellite, the initial satellites, sent a ton of information back. They sent tons of information back, and so they had the capability to put it all together and somehow index it so that the intelligence community was able to take a look at it all and figure out what was important for them to look at and what was not important to look at. So I'm just wondering, and we're not there yet, I guess, from what you're telling me. I'm wondering if the defense people have a program that could go through 51 terabytes of information and help poor Ann Taylor, because suppose they do get into ISIS or Iran or some other country that's not friendly to us, and they find 51 terabytes of information. We've got to know immediately if that's a threat to us. We can't
Mhm.
we can't wait 2 years or until July of 2025 to go through all that. They've got to go through it immediately. So I'm just wondering, and I think I'm answering my own question because it's a rhetorical question, if they have or what technology they have to go through that level of stuff. And I'm wondering when, how, where, and at what cost it'll be brought down to the level of all the rest of us, because I circle back to what I was saying in the very beginning. There's got to be a way that this technology can help get through 51 terabytes of information. There's just got to be a way to, it could at least index it. in such
Mhm.
a way that it's organized so that, a team or a skyscraper full of people can go through it. And it's just, I guess what you're telling me is, no, we're not there yet, but maybe.
I
Is that
think
it?
when you put it and well, when you put it in military resource perspective, you do make me question that because I think you're right. That technology, there is a good chance it exists because when I think about video processing, one of the limitations, how I say that it can do it, but it takes a long time and it's, so many like the computer can crash. When you have military funding, you have supercomputers that have the latest and
Mhm.
greatest information and
Exactly.
stuff. So maybe, maybe it takes my computer 20 minutes to dissect the hour-long video. I haven't tried to do much video AI work on my computer, but I know when I try to export our videos, even just exporting a video takes way too long. Andrew could probably agree with me on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but when you consider like beyond traditional hardware limitations, I think you have a good point there.
I think,
Now,
oh,
uh,
thank you. Yes. Like, comment, subscribe.
yeah, no, Andrew, do you have any closing thoughts
I
about AI?
I do. What my closing thought would be, I sense that we've only scratched the surface of all of that. If there's anybody watching us that is an expert in this area, if that's an absolute expert and knows, what I was kind of alluding to before, where the technology is and how it would help go through 51 terabytes of information, give us a comment and indicate, whether or not you'd be willing to come on and be on a panel and help us figure this all out. So yeah, that's my closing thought.
Yeah, I definitely am really interested in hearing what people, especially if you work in the tech field, have to say because I think about things and it's just like, oh, well, what can I do with my computer? But when you have, government funding or even just being backed by a huge company, this is a new technology that a lot of people are really interested in. So I'm curious. I'm definitely curious as well. But like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, we hope to see you in the next one. Bye.
You have been watching About the Law, a production of the law offices of Andrew D. Myers in Methuen in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts and in Derry, just outside of Manchester, New Hampshire. Remember to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with your friends and others. If you'd like to talk to me about an injury case, a car accident, a slip and fall, a serious bodily injury case, or some other case, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you. You can contact us through my website at attorney-myers.com. We have a contact us block, or you can call on one of the telephone numbers we've given there, or you can email me at andrew@attorney-myers.com. The foregoing is offered for informational purposes only. It is not intended as and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary widely from state to state. You should rely only on the advice given to you during a personal consultation by a local attorney thoroughly familiar with state laws and the area of practice in which your concern lies. This podcast must be and hereby is labeled advertisement in some jurisdictions. And that's that.
And that's that. And you know what AI can help with?
What?
Finding tunnels.
Tunnel? What about horses?
I'd be able to find some horses. I think AI can find the horses.
Could you hear Lily crying through most of that? No? Lily was crying. She was like, she wants to go out. I don't know why. I just took her out before we came here. Where is Lily? I can't even find her. Where is she? See, there's
Aw.
Lily. See, there's Lily. And she was crying through this whole thing. She's like, I want to go out. See, now she's on camera and look at her face. She knows I'm talking about her.
No, she's embarrassed.
She's pretending, I was a good girl. I was a good girl. I wasn't crying during the whole episode. I was good.
Oh,
She
Lily.
wants to go out.
She wants to go find horses.
She wants to go out. It's a beautiful day here for once. It's been raining. It's been raining for the last month. And now finally it's a nice day, so she wants to go out.